like, we drive back to this place that has the white picket fence, and literally a white picket fence, that is less than a block away from my place of work, which is the thing that I know I was called to. Like, I have a fulfilled calling. I am fulfilled relationally. Like, my friend that I made 22 years ago texted me, 45 minutes to an hour ago to go, hey, I need this instrument for worship this weekend. Like, I'm so full because of what the Lord's done. It was just quite the journey. So, but, and of course there's plenty more, but do you have any other follow-up questions? I think that's...
Yes, you mentioned a correspondence course.
Yes.
For math.
Uh-huh.
I was wondering if you could tell me more about how that came to be.
Well, that came to be, I struggled a lot in high school with math, and I think I mentioned that pretty effectively. But,
yes.
I would, nail certain math classes because they required me to be creative, and then I would completely fail, another. So, like, I believe in my sophomore year of high school, I was in AP Physics. So I'm over here in AP Physics, and then I was also, as a sophomore in high school, taking an 8th grade algebra class because I had failed algebra. And so, but when they told me, hey, take physics, so I take integrated chemistry and physics, and I loved it. And they were like, well, how did you nail that? There's equations in this. Like, what are you doing? I'm like, yeah, but when you are over here and you go procedure, I look over here and I'm like, I could build a trebuchet second semester? Are you kidding me? And so, like, I would nail physics, and fail other things. And so going on my junior, senior year, they're like, you don't have enough math credits. And so, like, we need to make sure that we fit in geometry. You can try to take 3 math classes your last semester of school in high school, or you can try a correspondence course, and so just do it outside of this, and they will apply the grade to your actual report card. And so I did. Like, my dad set it up, everything was accredited and finalized, and so I would go to school for a normal day, and then I would go home and take geometry. And I nailed geometry. It was great. And that extra added element of having my dad go there and just go, oh, well, that one's just like shooting pool. I'd go, oh. and so, like, I had a little bit more, like, personal interaction with the teacher, so to speak, and I had somebody that wasn't exasperated when I asked a question, no matter how silly it was. And my dad, I still think, knows less about geometry than I do, but he cared enough to be consistent, and so that completely fulfilled the last math credit I needed. And then they're like, oh yeah, well, will he get into college? And then I take the SATs, and I'm like, well, this is just oh, cool, I did awesome, yay. And so, sorry about all the sound effects, but
no, it's okay, it's perfectly fine.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, that's the bulk of it. I did have some tutors along the way, but that particular geometry course was simply between my dad teaching me, and then I would take all my tests in front of my math teacher here at the school, and I did so much better and learned so much more doing that than the classroom setting. The classroom setting has too much going on and too much ability to hide, when I needed a more deliberate approach. So.
Would you describe yourself as an introvert or an extrovert?
Is the term for both an ambivert?
I've heard both ambivert or omnivert.
I think I made up omnivert, but okay. Cool.
I have heard it made up from an independent source.
Yeah.
From another person who thought that way.
I'm agree with that independent source. I'm going to go with omnivert. And I believe the technical definition is, like, you gain energy, or you're able to gain an equilibrium in a situation with more people, or a situation with less people. And
there's a number of qualifiers.
Sure.
But that's one of them. Another one of them that I'm interested in hearing your thoughts about is whether you find yourself seeking out people or withdrawing, and whether you orally process out loud or you're more of a think inside your head.
As an omnivert, I would say, with the first qualifier, like what do I gain the most energy or equilibrium from? I would say both, but not the in between. Like in between drives me nuts. I want to be in front of a crowd of 2,000 people, or I want no one to look at me. And I gain energy both ways. Some of my most profound times, like I love to fish. Like you can tell that I like the outdoors now because there's trophies, in the